Okay, hi everyone. This is my new channel. It's going to be primarily a gaming channel. I can't really see myself doing too much else with it, aside from just recording what I'm playing anyway, and putting commentary to it, which isn't something I was originally going to do, but I was talked into it. So now you get to listen to me, as well as see what I'm playing. And as you can see, we're starting off with Dark Souls. It's a game that I've spent quite a bit of time with since it first came out around 2 years ago on the PC. I think around 200 hours or so is how much time I spent with it. But I really like it. It's one of my favorite games. I've done everything I possibly can with it, all the optional bosses, everything. So it won't be the freshest playthrough in the world, but I'm hoping just how much I really do enjoy it will come through and it'll still be interesting to watch. So we're going to get started. Go to new game. I've already decided on a name for my character. Name him Adamo, which is just a name that's pretty similar to what I usually name my characters, which is just a vowel and then Damo. Don't ask me why. Male for the sex. Classes don't matter too much in Dark Souls. They really just affect your starting gear and what your skills are. You can see on the left, the bottom left, the skills are changing. The numbers the skills have assigned. They're changing based on which class I'm hovering over. But those can easily be changed. I mean, that's just what you start off with. You can see the warrior and the knight. They're pretty melee based, pretty heavy armor, swords and shields, that kind of thing. But I could easily take one of these guys and just invest heavily in intelligence, which is one of the skills down there, and turn them into a sorcerer type, which casts spells, obviously, as it sounds. So it doesn't matter too much. I really do enjoy playing this type of character, though, the heavy armor, sword and shield, or heavy weapons, that kind of thing. Strength-based characters. And so I'm going to go with a pyromancer. There are better classes to start off with. I guess better is really, might not be the right word, but bandit, for instance, starts with 14 strength and 14 endurance, which endurance determines your equip load, which if you have high endurance just means you can move around and attack better, more quickly, more fluidly, if you have a high endurance, if you're wearing like heavy armor or using a really heavy weapon, that kind of thing. And strength is just, if you have higher strength, then if you have a weapon that depends on strength, it'll do more damage. And I usually do when I'm playing this type of character. And the reason I play this type of character is just because it's what I'm comfortable with, it's what I enjoy the most, and I really don't want to have this playthrough really filled with too much rage, so I decided not to try anything too new. But Pyromancer's not too bad, still has 12 strength, 11 endurance, so we can easily boost that up. And it also starts with the ability to cast fire spells, Pyromancy, which is something that the other classes get, but not for a little while in the game, so it can be pretty helpful early on. So I'm going to click Pyromancer. The gifts, a lot of these you can find elsewhere in the game. You don't really need them as a starting gift. Black fire bombs are pretty good, they do a lot of damage early on. But what I'm going to go with is the Master Key, which will open a lot of doors, a lot of locked doors for us early on, and will save us the trouble of running around and hunting down the keys. Physique, I'm going to go with average. Face, I always go with commoner. The hair, I always pick short and red, because that's the closest to my actual hair in real life. And that's it. It's our character. You can see what he looks like on the right, at least with the starting gear. That's how we're going to look. And all the skills on the left. So we're going to click Accept. Okay, and that'll take us into the first cutscene of the game.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came, and and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone skins. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath, the Scaleless, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Okay, we're back, and we're in the northern Undead Asylum. We're going to pick up the dungeon cell key off the corpse that was just dropped from above. And before we leave our cell, you can see that we're not exactly normal for human beings. That is because, as you saw in the opening cutscene, we have the Dark Sign. The Dark Sign signifies an accursed undead. Those branded with it are reborn after death, but will one day lose their mind and go hollow. Death triggers the Dark Sign, which returns its bearer to the last bonfire rested at, but at the cost of all humanity and souls. So basically what that means is humans born with the Dark Sign will not actually die when they die, but they're reborn. They're put back at the last bonfire that they rested at, and eventually, through doing that time after time, through that cycle, they will just lose the will to live, lose the will to go on, their sense of humanity, and will become hollow, which is what we look like now, but we still have our wits about us. We haven't exactly gone insane, we just look like a hollow. And that's because we've recently died, or that's what the mechanic will become in the game. And we can restore our humanity and look like a normal human, but we'll get to that. So as we walk forward out of our cell, you see these guys who are hollowed. They're completely hollowed. They're just mindless creatures, zombie creatures who look human but not human, kind of like what we look like. You see through the bars here, there's a giant demon stomping around. It's the Asylum demon, or the Stray demon, excuse me. And pretty much this is just a glimpse of what you're going to be fighting later on, the types of monsters, creatures that you're going to be up against. So it's not all just little guys like these things. And these guys are pretty easy to take down. The only reason I'm even taking them down is because if you look in the bottom right, I just got 20 more souls. We're up to 40 because we killed 2 of them. And the souls are what are used to not only level up your character, increase whatever skill you want to increase, but also they're used as currency. So when we run into merchants later in the game, we can use them to buy things. So just getting all that I can. 20 souls, 40 souls, probably not going to make too much of a difference in the long run, especially given the number of souls we'll have later on in the game. But early on, it may be the difference between leveling up or not leveling up. You never know. So I tend to take a few extra seconds and just take these guys out. Climbing up the ladder. Run out here, and we come to our first bonfire, which if we light it, bonfire lit, and we sit down, take a rest at the bonfire, that saves our game. But as you can see, one option here, attune magic. Since we started as a pyromancer, we've got the fireball spell. We can't use it quite yet, but later on, if we increase our attunement, which you can see is on the skill list on the right, it's the second one down, we'll have more slots to put spells in. So as opposed to just the one, or I think 2, yeah, we've got 2 slots right now, but we only have 1 spell. So later on, increase the attunement, and that'll give us more slots. So if we have 4 spells, then we can increase our attunement enough to actually carry them. And this also, the bonfires also let us level up a little later in the game. Not quite there yet, but they also heal us. They give us our full health back, full stamina. So they're really useful to just use, like little checkpoints. Downside is, resting at these bonfires also causes any enemy that we've killed in the area to respawn. So if I were to run back in here, and I'm not going to jump down, but if I were to jump all the way back down there, those hollows that we were taking out before would be back. So it's kind of a mixed blessing. You really need to rest at these. They're your save points to level up and all that good stuff. But they also mean that anything you've taken out in the area will be right back, so if you need to backtrack or anything, you'll have to deal with all the same enemies again. So open up this door here, and you can see up above, I'll back up a little so you can really see him. See up through the door, you can see the Asylum demon. I called the other demon the Asylum demon, but that was actually the Stray demon. They look pretty similar, but this is the Asylum demon, and he's kind of just standing up there waiting for us. And as you'll see, if we run in here, he will jump down and want to fight us, but we're not quite ready for that, so we're going to run through this door over here. Down. It's another bonfire. Don't really need it right now. And here you can see around the corner there's a guy shooting arrows at us, but he can't hit us from here. What we want to do is pillage this corpse, which has a cracked round shield for us, which will be our first shield. We didn't have one before. And while I'm here, there's a little safe spot. I'll show you these little things on the ground, these runic symbols. They're actually messages. These ones are left by the developers. You can see controls, start to open the menu. And this one is left bumper. So my dog's in the background. You can hear them barking. But the left bumper is to guard with your shield. So if we hit the left bumper, we've got our shield up, can block some attacks, and hopefully my dogs will quiet down in a minute. But now this guy, even if he shoots arrows at us, can't hit us. He missed there, but it would just stick into our shield. Then we're going to pillage this next corpse, get our hand axe, which is much better than our straight sword hilt we were using. You can see on the far left the 20 as opposed to the 80 that this hand axe has. And there's one more thing with those, but this guy will eventually run down the stairs, so I'm going to chase him down, dodge his arrows, hit, and if I can get behind him, yeah. If you stand directly behind an enemy, then you can backstab them. It'll do a little backstab animation, and it'll do more damage than if you just swung at him. So as I was saying, with the equipment, this hand axe, for example, hit it, and you can see on the left side, about halfway down, a little more, the param bonus, it says. Those 4 icons are strength, the little arm flexing, dexterity is the hand, and then you have intelligence and faith. And this hand axe has scaling with strength and dexterity. It has a C rank scaling with strength and a D rank scaling with dexterity. And what that basically means is just the higher your strength, you know, the more this weapon's potential, ability, damage, output will scale with that strength. This doesn't scale quite as well as other weapons. There's S scaling, A, B, C, D, and E. This one has C scaling and strength, so it scales with strength a little better than dexterity, but we're not going to hang on to this weapon for very long. I just kind of wanted to explain the scaling, so if I do choose a different weapon later on, then you'll know why. Step through this fog gate. These gates usually just separate new areas, or they sometimes separate a boss, so you'll know if you come up to one, then you might have a boss right on the other side. But this one just separated this new area. See another little message left, B for backstep. There's a ball up there, a giant iron ball, and if we try and go up those stairs, it will roll down and crush us, but because I know it's there, I usually just run along the edge here. It'll trigger the ball, I can drop down, let it smash through the wall. We're going to go in there in a minute, but I'm going to run down here, open this door to create a little shortcut back to the first bonfire we reached. You can see the door right there, it's closed now, but in there is the area where the Asylum demon dropped down. We're going to rest at the bonfire just to save. And we don't want to go in that door because they'll have us facing him head on, which we could do, but it's a lot easier to go up here, and we need to go in this little room anyway. And we come to this guy, he's Oscar of Astora. He doesn't actually mention his name in-game, but that is who he is. And if you look closely, he's actually the knight who dropped the corpse on us at the beginning, with the key to get out of our cell, and he's ended up here. It's generally assumed, since there's that hole in the ceiling there, and he seems to have crashed down through, that while he was on the roof, he tried to fight the Asylum demon that we ran away from, and lost. So that's why he was sent crashing through the roof. He's not doing so well here, but we're going to talk to him.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I were both undead. Hear me out, will you? Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the Undead Asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask, an undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Okay, so Oscar gave us both the Estus flask, which you can see at the bottom left, and that'll heal us up if we drink it. I'm not going to use it now, but it has 5 charges right now. That can be increased later on in the game. He said that he was not really looking forward to harming us after death, so he wanted us to take off. And what he was talking about, like I was mentioning earlier, is that he will hollow now. And probably because he fell through the roof and lost, hurt his pride, he may turn into a full-blown hollow and not just resurrect like us at the bonfire and go crazy and attack us. And he didn't want to do that because, you know, we kind of bonded in here. But he also gave us the key to the door that's at the top of those stairs up there where the ball rolled down. But Oscar, he gives us our first real direction in the game. You know, we escape from our cell and we're in this asylum. We're just kind of plodding along, going through. But his little prophecy there is kind of the first, like, sign that we have that's kind of pointing us in the right direction. We're supposed to go to this land of ancient lords and ring the bell of awakening. And we don't really know what that means right now in the game, but... Oh. Noise. Yep. That hissing noise, that kind of a noise we just heard was actually Oscar fading away. So he died. And his body's gone now, but yeah, he gives us our first kind of direction. We know what we have to do. We can assume that we're the chosen undead, because that's kind of how it works in most games. If there's a chosen one, you're probably him. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're headed. Top of these stairs, there's another hollow. He's got a sword as opposed to the bow that we found earlier, and he will actually actively attack us. These guys can be annoying with that little slashing attack, but if we time it right... Nope. Yep. If we block just as his attack is about to hit us, we actually do a parry and a counter, which will do, again, like the backstab, significantly more damage than if we just swung at him. So we use the key that Oscar gave us. We go out here. And there's an item over here, which is our pyromancy flame, which is what the pyromancer gets at the beginning of the game, much sooner than other classes. I'm just going to take him out the normal way, because go in here and equip the flame to my other weapon slot, and you see if we push right on our D-pad, we switch to our flame. And what that allows us to do is to use our fireball spell that we got. So I'm not going to use them right now, but take these guys out. Get another backstab on this one. This guy's shooting some arrows, so we'll block. You can see it. Its shield kind of had the arrow stuck in it. Backstab this guy. We'll go in here, and as you can see on the ground, the instructions of how to parry, that's what this guy's pretty much made for. I find it really easy to parry these guys just because they do a stabbing motion. They're not quite as frantic in their movements as the other ones. So, just grab some extra souls. Let's see, we're up to 356. And here we come to another fog gate. This one actually does separate this area from a boss fight. So, I'm going to use my Estus flask that we got, heal up. So we've got 4 charges left now, and step through the gate to face the Asylum Demon, finally, because we're finally ready. He's down there. If we drop down and attack on the way down, it does kind of like a falling attack, drop down attack, and that'll do a decent amount of damage to him just as an attack. So it's a little hard to talk and do this at the same time, even though I know what I'm doing. He tries to attack us, so we got blown back because our stamina was too low to block. But now that it's full, that green bar in the top left, if he does attack us, it doesn't do too much. It does a little bit of damage because it took out the whole bar, but it won't hit our health. That's the point of blocking. So I'm just going to hack away at him when I can. Try and avoid his attacks. He's going to fly up, do a little butt drop. Just give us a few seconds while he recovers. He's going to do it again. Yeah, keep doing that. Yeah, so as long as he keeps doing that, it's easy damage. Oh. Missed that one. And this is where I can show you if we switch to our fireball. Oh, the wrong button. Almost cost us. But, oh. Yeah, there we go. Oh! Wrong buttons cost me a little, but now that he's doing that, we can throw a fireball at him, do a decent amount of damage, and that actually finished him off. Switch back to our axe, and he gives us the big pilgrim key for beating him. And some humanity, which we'll go over probably in the next episode. It's not really too important right now. But we also got 2,000 souls. You can see the bottom right. Now we've got a whole bunch of souls to use to level up once we get to the bonfire. We use the pilgrim key, get out here, climb this little hill. But if we go down here, there's actually an item, which is a Soul of Lost Undead, which basically just, when we use it, it gives us some souls. There are varying sizes of souls, degrees, and the bigger the soul, the more souls it gives us. Soul of Lost Undead will give us, I think, 200. It's not too much, but it's worth picking up early on in the game. And once we climb up here, we'll get another cutscene.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the Undead Asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
And so we're dropped off by a giant crow into Lordran, where we will be spending our time in Dark Souls. You can actually see the crow through the trees up there, but it wants us to rest at the bonfire, so we're going to go over to it, sit down, and we'll probably level up next episode. I think that's good for now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully they'll get a little more professional, a little better. Hopefully the commentary will get better. I may have to talk a little more slowly, and it's not really the best environment for recording. You heard my dogs barking in the background. But yeah, I really enjoy playing this game. I plan to keep playing it, and I guess I'll keep recording. So for now, make my character give a little wave, and I will see you guys next time.